As October 2019 was coming to an end, Lil Durk dominated the news. All charges against the Chicago rapper had been dropped. Hip-hop fans were not sure how to react to the news. While some were over the moon that he had beaten the case, others were skeptical over how he did it, especially with his co-accused, King Von, dead. Everyone asked the same question: did Lil Durk snitch on King Von? Well, to answer this, we must uncover their relationship, the nature of the case they were fighting, and the shocking court details that may condemn Lil Durk to the title of Rat for the rest of his life. Lil Durk and King Von relationship.
I work with some of Dirk's producers, and the rumors, the conversation within his camp was that Durk might get washed for this.
That was the general feeling in the industry. According to the testimonies against him, as we'll see later in the video, all pointed fingers at the Chicago rapper. However, fate had other ideas. Lil Durk had gone up against the toughest DA one could face and come out unscathed. Georgia's district attorney, Fani Willis, was no walk in the park. I mean, she's known for going after the former president, Donald Trump, for trying to interfere with the 2020 election results in Georgia. Apart from that, she's also going hard against Young Thug in a RICO case. However, 3 years after he was arrested together with King Von, his case was dropped. He was acquitted of all charges. This was surprising to many. I mean, hadn't a judge ruled that there was enough evidence to take the case to trial? Yes. A Fulton County, Georgia judge had found probable cause to charge the two rappers with criminal attempt to commit murder. But you must remember that this was back when King Von was alive. Did King Von's death have anything to do with Durk's sudden stroke of luck? To answer this question, we must first analyze the relationship between the two rappers. Bromance in the hip-hop industry has always existed. Think about Gunna and Lil Baby, Eminem and Dr. Dre, or Lil Wayne and Drake. In most cases, these friendships often result in the making of legendary records. Sometimes they just serve to help a brother out. This may have been the case for Chicago rappers King Von and Lil Durk. Having grown up around the same area, being part of the Black Disciples, the pair were buddies before they even started rapping. Although the rappers grew up on the south side of Chicago and were members of the Black Disciples, they were affiliated to different sects within the gang. King Von was affiliated with O Block, while Durk identified with 300. Lil Durk got into the industry around 2011 when Von was still locked up. When Von got out, he found that Durk and other childhood friends, such as Chief Keef and G Herbo, had started rapping and were making it big. Being a good friend, Durk decided to help out his friend and signed King Von to his Only the Family label. Not long after signing to OTF, Von released his breakout single Crazy Story, thrusting him into the limelight. The next year, Durk came through for Von and featured on Crazy Story 2.0. Durk's star power seemed to work magic as the record peaked at number 4 on the bubbling under Hot 100 charts. The duo's childhood friendship seemed to be rubbing off on their music as they increased the number of tracks they did together. A month after the success of Crazy Story 2.0, the two produced another track together titled Like That. Von was growing from strength to strength, and he had one man to thank for it, his childhood friend, Lil Durk. While in the public's eyes, the pair were innocent rap stars who made a living from entertaining hip-hop fans, the two were allegedly deeply entrenched in the gang life. One would assume that since the two were away from Chicago and their gang connections, they would leave their criminal past and focus solely on music. After all, rap was earning Chicago-born rappers both money and fame. There was really no need to continue being involved in gang activities. However, Von and Durk had other ideas. The two have allegedly been involved in multiple crimes. Surprisingly, the two have also been arrested for robbery and attempted murder. One would easily ask themselves why two successful rappers would be robbing people at night in the streets. Varsity shooting and court case.
I just talked to an overnight commander who says the only information they can confirm for us is that a man has been shot and he's been rushed to the hospital.
At around 5:45 a.m. on February 5th, 2019, shots were fired in the parking lot of the Varsity, a popular restaurant located in Midtown Atlanta. 23-year-old Alexander Weatherspoon had been shot. He stumbled across the road before collapsing in front of the One Cigar Lounge. Luckily, customers swiftly called 911 and he was taken to the hospital. Witnesses told the authorities that an SUV with 300 plastered on the side was seen speeding away from the scene after shots were fired. As with most shooting incidents, the case seemed to go cold due to lack of evidence. However, 3 months later, cops had a breakthrough. On May 4th, 2019, Von would be the first suspect arrested in connection with the shooting. Bezu, a gang member affiliated with Trigger Happy Family, THF, was also arrested 9 days later. Finally, the Atlanta police issued an arrest warrant on May 29, 2019 for the final suspect in the shooting incident, Lil Durk. The Chicago rapper was hit with 5 felony charges. These included criminal attempt to commit murder, aggravated assault, unlawful association with criminal street gang to conduct or participate in crime, possession of a firearm during commission of a felony, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Lil Durk Durk had cause to be worried. The attempted murder charge was a serious offense and carried 10 to 20 years behind bars. Durk's actions after the arrest warrant was issued showed that he may have been worried, although he tried his best to act gangster. Despite the fact that he was on tour when the arrest warrant was issued, Durk canceled everything and went straight to Atlanta. He immediately dropped a record titled Turn Myself In. The next day, the rapper wasted no time in getting ahead of any narrative by granting WSB-TV an interview at his lawyer's office. In the interview, the rapper revealed that he was about to surrender to the authorities the same day. According to him, he had nothing to hide nor nothing to run from.
You're about to surrender as we speak.
Yeah.
How come?
Because I have nothing to hide. Like, I have nothing to run from.
Lil Durk also maintained his innocence and denied committing any of the 5 charges leveled against him.
Did you do it? Did you shoot this man? Did you commit the other crimes of which you're accused?
No.
The rapper then proceeded to surrender himself to authorities at the Fulton County Jail the same day. When Durk and Von finally appeared before a judge, 2 interesting pieces of evidence against Durk were revealed. First, Jeffrey Churchill, a detective from the Atlanta PD, took to the stand where he revealed that he had spoken with the witness who was with the 2 rappers the night of the shooting. According to her, a fight broke out in a car that was in front of them. She then saw Durk pull out a firearm, forcing her to run around the building where she heard shots fired. She later saw the victim in a pool of blood. The detective also revealed that they had obtained surveillance footage showing Von's hand sticking out of the SUV and firing his weapon at Weatherspoon.
You see Mr. Banks' arm out the window firing several shots at the victim, towards the victim.
To top it all off, prosecutors wanted the case treated as gang-related and had a Chicago police captain confirm that Von and Durk were members of the BD gang. A judge would later find probable cause in the charges brought up against the rappers, meaning that the case would move to trial. Lil Durk seemed deep in trouble with this case. It was unlike any other case he had dealt with before. With witnesses and surveillance footage against him available, things were not looking up for Durk. Lil Durk snitches and backlash. In late October 2022, all charges against Durk were dropped. According to multiple sources, including Durk's lawyers, the case was dropped due to insufficient evidence. Durk's lawyers pointed out that their position was always that Durk was present at the crime scene, although he was never involved in the shooting. This was baffling to many, because the stack of evidence against the Chicago rapper, the DA, Fannie Willis, was known to be ruthless in such a case. To understand how Durk walked free, it's important to understand the circumstances surrounding the case. First, it's important to note that King Von had been shot dead 2 years earlier after an altercation with fellow rapper Quando Rondo. In that case, had Durk put the blame on his deceased friend? Shocking court documents may reveal whether Durk ratted out his friend. In a statement released by Mrs. Willis, she said, if co-defendant Davon Bennett, aka King Von, had not died in 2020, he would have been indicted for this incident. This statement sent the industry crazy. So according to the DA, if Von was alive, even if all the evidence to this point revolved around Durk, he would have been charged? That did not make sense. Unless Durk had told on Von and passed all the blame to him. Since Von cannot defend himself, Durk was allowed to walk. However, there was a general feeling that Von was set up long before he died. One of the incidents that proved this was when one of Lil Durk's lawyers, Nicole Mormon, was rumored to have searched Von at an airport, an incident that Von filmed. It turns out that Nicole worked for the state for nearly 5 years as a felon probation officer and specialized task force agent, meaning she could go undercover. The plan seemed to get Von in serious trouble and portray him as the bad one between him and Durk. That way, Durk would walk and Von would have ended up in prison. But according to some in the industry, Durk was being set up by the authorities for a bigger bust. It seemed odd for Miss Willis to let the case end despite the evidence against Durk. One of the theories was that Durk had been set free because the authorities were working on an even bigger case to bring him and many other gang members down. Others concluded that he had just put the blame on Von. We may never know the truth, but one thing is for sure, Durk was lucky to have his charges dropped, as it would have ruined his career.